0 to 60 can define a performance car, but it's the fastest 60 to 0 that's the aim of Tarox brakes. From road cars to race cars, circuits, special stages, or the autostrada, nothing reduces speed like Tarox brakes. Italy gave the world the art of Da Vinci and Michelangelo. Tarox has given drivers the art of stopping. For more information and to acquire your own masterpiece, visit tarox.co.uk. Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backstreet Driver Podcast. It's the fastest, it's the friendliest, and it's for all the family. The Gas Shocks 116 Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup are the fastest growing race series in the UK, taking in 6 one-hour races and 8 sprints at all the top circuits. Visit 116trophy.com to find out more and get yourself behind the wheel. From a pot of tea to TT motorbikes. From a classic English breakfast to a full serving of classic cars. Bridge House Tea Rooms is the Northwest premier classic car meeting location for cars, bikes, tractors and owners clubs. So no matter what your automotive appetite might be, visit Bridge House Farm Tea Rooms on their Facebook page or call John and Alicia on 07980 444 221 for show details and to reserve your own table and parking space.
Anybody who is into Land Rovers at times is considered maybe a little bit strange, but they are an absolute icon of the British motor industry. They're an absolute icon of off-roading. They're a design icon. And the Land Rover was, after the Second World War, the idea was taken off the Jeep, but it was, and it assisted greatly in Britain's export, because after the war, the motor industry was told, you must export, which is what they did. And it was an absolute raging success, which is why I'd like to introduce to the Backstreet Driver Radio Show, Steve Doney, who is a Land Rover fan. Steve, welcome to the Backstreet Driver Radio Show.
Thank you very much, Mark. Great to be here.
Now, before we get on to the real reason why you're here, what is the fascination with Land Rovers? Because you are, shall we say, keen on these vehicles.
I don't know. It's $1 million question. Honestly speaking, I got my first Land Rover approximately 15 years ago, and from there the journey began. But I'm not sure whether it's because of the history of the brand, the farming connection, the building of Britain after the Second World War. It's a real strange one. I can't put my finger on it other than to say, once you've had a Land Rover, you can't live without one. Bizarre. Because
until you get to the modern ones, they're not the most comfortable vehicle in the world. They're not the quickest vehicle in the world. They're not the easiest vehicle in the world to drive. But the one thing is, no matter where you are in the world, it's the green oval is probably one of the most recognised vehicles in the world. And also, it is rumoured there are more Land Rovers on the road than any other make or model of car. The number of survivors is incredible. And I mean, wherever you are in the world, Africa, Brazil, you name it, where terrain is rough, Land Rovers are there. Okay, they might have been replaced with, shall we say, more modern machinery, but back in the day, that was the vehicle that everybody banked on and counted on to get them and the kit to where they needed to be.
That, I suppose, is obviously the greatness of them as well, because if you take it from the farming fraternity to your later iconic Chelsea tractor with the Land Rover products, the Range Rovers, etc., even taking it right up to the royal family. Iconic, it's synonymous. Everybody loves the brand, don't they?
I mean, that's the ironic thing. You mentioned the royal family. At one point in time, wherever the Queen went to visit, there was a Land Rover there, especially adapted so she could stand in the back of it, but there was a Land Rover there to drive her about.
Exactly.
But probably the Land Rover was as big as ambassador for the UK as the Queen herself was.
Yeah.
And it brings us to the reason we are here. We're actually at the premises of Specialised Automotive Services. Dave Warburton was our guest a few weeks ago, and we're here because you've come to pick up your Series 1, haven't you? Fully restored.
4 years in the making. Yeah, she's finally coming home. So yeah, looking for it's a great day today. It's been a journey getting here.
Now, for some peculiar reason, this isn't your first series run, because the first series run you had, you didn't like and you got rid of it.
I did. I had it for about 4 weeks and could not get my head around the double D dick clutch. And basically, it was not the prettiest looking thing, so I decided to part company with that. But literally, no sooner she left the drive, I was twitching again, already living in regret of what I'd done, and then we started again.
So, tell us about this one, because this one arrived as a chassis and lots of spare parts, which, as you discovered later on, and as Dave here at SAS discovered, weren't quite as many spare parts as you were hoping there were.
No, basically. I bought OKW3. It was a rolling chassis, which also came in, I think it had about 12 boxes of spare parts. Basically, I bought it from a chap in Rochdale. It had actually been taken off the UK roads in 1971.
Yeah.
And not done any distance since. Naively, thought this will be a walk in the park renovating this.
Yeah.
But obviously got that sadly wrong. So yeah. Picked it up and had it transported over to here to Dave's, and then the journey began at SAS, literally.
How long has it taken? Because I can remember seeing it, sat in the body shop, looking very forlorn, but I can't remember how long ago it is.
It arrived here in October 2017.
Right.
Basically, and we started work on it in the November. So yeah, literally 4 years to the day, practically, that it's taken to renovate the thing.
Now, it's another salutary lesson in, contrary to what the television programmes will show you, because restorations condense into 45 to 47 minutes to make way for adverts and an hour-long show. It is to restore a vehicle is a serious undertaking, whether you're doing it yourself or, as you said, you brought it here for David. I mean, it's been a long journey, hasn't it?
Well,
it's like we said, the spare parts weren't there.
No, it's been incredible. From a sourcing point of view, because Dave assigned me the title of sourcing director. Basically, it has taken me probably in realistically man hours. If I'm being absolutely honest, I've probably done 2,000 man hours on sourcing parts over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It's a staggering amount of time, obviously looking for individual items.
As I said, it's arrived as a chassis. I mean, before we carry on, what was the history of the vehicle? Do you know any history of it?
The history of the vehicle? Remarkably, and I only found this out later, that there is a bizarre connection to it. It was registered on the 7th of December, 1957.
Yeah.
Farnell, Manningham Lane, Bradford. So they were the supplying dealer.
So it's a Yorkshire vehicle?
It's a Yorkshire vehicle. 5 previous owners, was on the road until 1971 and then taken off the road and basically was in Rochdale for a period of about 30 years.
Yeah.
And then obviously along came a chap called Steve who decided to take it on, and the try and rebuild, well, essentially was just a rolling chassis and a box full of spares.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that makes your Series 1 unusual, it's a diesel.
It is.
And they didn't make many of them, did they?
No, I can tell you that they made 2,183 Series 1 2-litre diesels.
Yes.
And basically, they started making them, I think the production started in 57 and then terminated in 58, obviously, when the Series 1 switched over to the Series 2. So yeah, they only made them for a short period.
Because it's from an era when, although diesels did exist, they weren't a popular, what you call, civilian engine, were they?
No, they were purely aimed at the forces.
Yeah.
Obviously the armed forces predominantly. So yeah, civilian-wise, there wasn't many made at all for retail sale.
And the interesting thing is, only at 2 litre, it is only a small diesel engine.
It is.
But the diesel engine in itself has its own now interesting story. We won't name names, but, I mean, just talk us through that diesel engine, because what should have been a simple rebuild by an expert not here at SAS turned into a quiet little nightmare for you, didn't it?
It did. Sadly, unfortunately, that was a part of the process which obviously wasn't very nice, but sent it to what was supposedly an engine specialist within the Land Rover industry, and basically received back what we thought was a fit for purpose engine. And unfortunately, when it was compression tested, obviously the the engine was absolutely, it was shot. It was not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the saga with said motor company that dealt with the engine went on for about 2.5 years. And in the end, I just had to wave the white flag.
Yeah.
Basically tell SAS that we to take it down to bare metal and start again effectively.
Yeah. Because the one thing Martin Boland here has done is, by virtue of the fact they've ruined the cylinder head, Martin has taken a second generation cylinder head and turned it into a first generation cylinder head, which is an absolutely fascinating thing to do.
It's incredible what he's done. Huge amount of man hours, but effectively, he's effectively recast an original cylinder wheel head. He's basically rebuilt a cylinder wheel head. I'd say it's the dilemma that if we didn't resolve the cylinder head issue, then effectively we're looking at a new engine. Yeah, I would have had to switch to a petrol engine, which I didn't want to do because I wanted to keep the authenticity of the vehicle.
Yeah. Now, besides that, I mean, everything, there's a new canvas tilt, which is on it. I was here one day to watch some of the riveting, and the one thing I can safely say, I have no concept whatsoever how many rivets hold a Land Rover together.
Likewise. That's why these guys are mechanics. They're the specialists. No.
I mean, how much of the original vehicle, I mean, the chassis is original, the instrumentation is original. How much of the original vehicle have you been able to retain?
I would say probably retained around about 70% of the original vehicle. All the galvanised parts, everything on the vehicle was removed, taken to a local shop blaster, then taken to Manchester Gang and re-galvanised.
Yeah.
In terms of the parts, the actual body parts, and obviously SAS have done a huge amount of restoration on the body, which obviously has involved a lot of man hours, mechanic-wise and body shop-wise. But I would say probably 70% of the vehicle is original.
Yeah.
So, and I think that reflects, obviously, in the finished article. I can see that.
Well, I must say, it's been finished in the traditional bronze green, if memory serves. I mean, it's, once again, we're talking about iconic things. Even the colour is iconic to these vehicles.
Yeah.
The one interesting thing is, it shows the early transmissions. For anybody who knows Land Rovers, when you climb inside, you have the lever with the red knob, the lever with the yellow knob, and you have the standing gear lever. But back then, it's what they call third and fourth half synchro mesh, first and second, or a crash. Though it is well advised you drive the entire vehicle as a crash gearbox. I mean, this is from an era when people had to be able to drive vehicles. And I mean, you drive around in a nice, shiny, brand new, last of the line, proper Land Rover.
I do.
What's your opinion on your old Land Rover? Because you've never driven it yet.
No, and the lesson will be today. Basically, originally when Martin started stripping the gearbox down, we had a discussion regarding obviously the actual gearbox, and Martin said to me, I had the opportunity to be able to make it an irregular gearbox, so that it would have regular gear changes. I asked Martin and said, was that in line with obviously when it left the factory? He said, no, it is this double declutching, which I shall explain in a moment as to what it is. Double declutching system. So I'm gonna soon find out whether that was a right decision or a wrong decision. But I told Martin to do the double clutch system so that we retained authenticity. But yeah, like I said, we'll see. We'll wait to see if I'll live to regret that.
Now, for anybody who's most people who listen to this show will know what double declutching is. But perchance you don't, you put the vehicle into first gear in the conventional way and set off down the road. When it's time to go to second, which I can assure you, in a Series 1 Land Rover is reasonably soon because of the low gearing on them. Put the clutch down, put the gear lever into neutral, let the clutch up. Put the clutch down, put the gear lever into second, let the clutch up, making sure you're then back on the gas. And you do this through every gear change. But the one interesting thing is it makes for a very relaxed ride because no matter what anybody wants to do, you cannot hurry a double declutch gear change. It's a fascinating thing. Are you looking forward to learning this process?
Honestly, well, you've said it's a relaxed drive. I'm not sure that it's going to be relaxed for me. It's just 3,000 miles. But yeah, I'm looking forward to just seeing, firstly, how he drives, obviously, because of the car.
Yeah.
But more importantly, obviously, from what Martin's done to the gearbox as well. Because obviously I've seen, obviously that we've fabricated it, like right down to the entire stripping down of the gearbox and rebuilding. So I'm hoping his workmanship is going to make my life a lot easier driving a double-D clutch system car. So,
I mean, I have to admit, unlike Steve here, who owns the vehicle, I've actually driven it.
yes, he has.
And it is an absolute pleasure to drive. The one thing you have to get used to on this one is, back then it wasn't a necessity. There's no indicators on it. You have to put your arm out the window and wag it about, dependent on what direction you wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that? Because what you've got to do is remember you've got to be changing gear at the same time.
Well, yeah, I know that from a legal point of view that you should indicate left and right.
Yeah.
Because I drive a modern-day Land Rover as well, I must confess, I have adopted a bit of an attitude that farmers don't need to indicate.
No.
They sort of realise they are bully drivers. They don't seem to worry. So I don't think I'm going to be breaking any speed. That's going to kill anybody anyway. So, but no. Yeah, the arm system as well. Like I ain't got enough to think about.
Yes.
Double system and indicate rear arms as well. But yeah, looking forward to it. It'd be good fun.
Now, what do you intend doing with it? Because, I mean, it's absolutely stunning. It's people who have seen it have described it, because it's been all over my social media, as somebody actually asked me, is it new? Well, no, it isn't new. It just looks like new. And I can understand by virtue of the fact you're the man that spent all the money on this, you'd probably like it to remain looking like new for quite a while. But what do you intend doing with it?
Honestly speaking, I'm keeping it. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. You're not getting rid of this one?
No, it's a love. There's no two ways about it. And obviously I'm fortunate enough to have an end of the production line 16-plate Defender at 90 as well.
Yeah.
So, for me, obviously, I do have a passion for the brand. So I've got the birth, I've obviously got the death, as in the loss of the production line.
Yeah.
So, it's just, it's going to be part of my life forever.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I built it, I didn't do the actual building. And I've
kept a very watchful eye on it.
I've rebuilt it, I've restored it, and I brought it back to being better than it was brand new.
Yeah.
So yeah, effectively, it's there for life. Simple as that.
So what will you do with it? Will you use it?
Yes. I'll check the weather forecast. If there's a cloud between here and Cincinnati, she won't be leaving the garage.
No, I think you've got that the wrong way around. If it's a truly terrible forecast, that's the time you say you'll have her over.
No,
it's Land Rover.
It's too nice for that. But yeah, she will definitely get driven without a doubt.
Yeah.
No two ways about it.
What you go to show us, because I mean, it's your pride and joy, but it is something that, in my opinion, needs to be seen by other people.
I agree. And I'm going to let you into a secret here, which is incredible. I forewarned Farnell, a supplying dealer, because they supplied it in 1957. I forewarned them 12 months ago that we were approaching the end of the journey. I did actually offer to put it into their main franchise in the north of England, free of charge, just for a period of time so that the public could see and relate to the vehicle. And I was told I can't. Because apparently they can't put an old Land Rover into a modern-day franchise JLR dealership unless it's an event.
Yeah.
So I was turned down, believe it or not, which is remarkable. So yeah, the only time it'll get seen is that obviously when I'm driving it. Yes, will I take it to shows? I think I will take it to one of the major shows, purely and simply as a thank you to the team of lads here for all the work that they've done. I'd like it to go to an event so that they can see that the car's been taken, to somewhere where it can be obviously be looked at and viewed with the same passion by people who are like me, Land Rover nuts, basically.
Now, I know full well, is it the Series 1 club? Are definitely keen to see it, aren't
they? They are. Yeah, but speaking to Series 1 club have been fantastic for the record. Michael Burns, who's the registrations officer, he's obviously helped me get the vehicle registered. They're very, very keen to have a good look at the vehicle. So obviously, once it's home, I have to share with them all the images of the vehicle, etc. And I know that the Ledger magazine want to talk to me as well. I've got a view to doing an article, but yeah, it's there to be admired. It's a piece of British icon, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a Land Rover Series 1. It's built to a level, I would say, that is probably, I know it's mine, but I know that with the work that's been put into it here, I would say it's a world-class restoration. I can't think there will be many more that will be better than that. And yeah, it'd be lovely for Joe Public to see it as well, wouldn't it?
I mean, just out of interest, have Land Rover themselves expressed any interest in it?
No, I've not spoken to Land Rover direct. No, I've not spoken to them direct. So I've spoken to franchise, obviously Farnell, but no, I haven't spoken to Land Rover direct. So I'm sure once images start coming out and they get wind of it, then I think it'll be certainly worth a while looking at it, that's for sure.
Now this project is over, what else figures on the Steve's Land Rover list of things to do? Because you're going to get itchy feet as such at some point, aren't you?
Well, you're not going to believe this. I nearly bought a Series 2 fire engine.
Did you?
I did. Martin was pleading for me to buy it, but it was down in Boreham Wood, and
I couldn't afford.
Yeah, so basically, I just took too long thinking about it, and somebody jumped in and beat me to it. So, is there another one in May?
Well, you have the lightweights to go at, the militaries.
Probably.
You've got the forward controls to look at.
Probably.
And of course, if you're passionate about the military, you've got the big Panthers too, which of course are the SAS ones, and then there's the Wolf, but the Wolf is a modern one. It's like
it is
Defenders as such.
It is, and then obviously, if you look at some of the prices of some of them, they're absolutely insane prices.
Yeah.
But the issue that you'll have, and obviously that's where I've learned a major lesson with this. I bought a vehicle that essentially was in bits.
Yeah, because you said you bought it sight unseen, didn't you?
Well, basically it was in Classic Car Magazine. So when I got over there, I'd already paid a deposit.
Yeah.
And basically I walked into a garage and it was effectively a rolling chassis and about 6 boxes of parts.
Yeah.
And that was it. So I've learned a very, very hard lesson on how not to buy a vehicle.
So, I mean, the giveaway was when you worked into the garage, all the other lads in there were rolling around in laughter because thinking, he's here. He didn't know what he was buying.
I didn't. There's no two ways about it. And unfortunately, it's one of them. Hindsight's a very good thing. But had I known the volume of work and the manpower and the cost involved in getting it to this, then I would have had second thoughts about it at the time.
Yeah.
Now that we're here today, it's a beautiful day.
It's a glorious day here.
It's happening and just about to take a home on the transport. Then it's all been worthwhile. It's been a good journey.
So, what is the next one?
No idea. It'll definitely be a Land Rover. I'm not sure yet. I've tried with the idea. I would like to do something on the heritage theme.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure. I keep looking, and I'm an auto trader every couple of days, and eBay and piston heads and classic cars, just to see what's coming up. But
would you consider a Range Rover?
I wouldn't. No, ironically, I do drive a Range Rover day to day.
Yeah,
fantastic car as they are. Would I renovate a Range Rover? Probably not. I know people that have renovated them, the 1970s, the early Range Rovers. No, not for me.
Because as a kid, I grew up with the early Range Rovers. Gives you an idea, because when I was a kid, the early Range Rover wasn't the early Range Rover, it was the current Range Rover. And the great thing about the Range Rover was it literally was a Land Rover that had a reasonable amount of power under your right foot, because that was always the Land Rovers made you feel in it. It'd get you where you wanted to go, but it didn't do it with any great amounts of power. And the Range Rover came along, you thought, stroll, hey, look, it sets off.
Yeah.
And you don't have to sit there in enjoying the outdoors, indoors, because that's the one thing about Land Rovers, the early ones. You didn't get a lot of weather protection, even though they had a roof.
No, they're great. Don't get me wrong, like I said, I'm fortunate that I've got a Range Rover as well. They're a fantastic vehicle, the Range Rover. But yeah, I think if you restoration-wise, then obviously, the early Land Rovers, if they're a complete vehicle, I think you've got half a chance, obviously.
So the next one you read up about, if they say, well, part of it's in boxes, you'll be saying, thanks so much for your time, a buddy call back.
Yes, I'll be walking away from it. Yeah, I've definitely learned a lesson here. And I would suggest to anybody who's thinking and contemplating of taking it, or take a mechanic with you first.
Yeah.
At least just get a sound overview of what you're laying yourself in.
So, say, 100-200 quid to take somebody with you, like somebody from SAS.
Yeah.
Might see, other folk might think, well, that's a lot of money, you just take somebody to look at something. But the end result, it will pay dividends in the long run.
Right to doubt. I was rabbiting headlights. I was totally naive. I didn't know what I was doing. That's that feeling for this love of classic car restoration, your wheeler dealer programs, and honestly, believe me, it depends on what level you want the car when it's finished.
Yeah.
And that obviously is quite a critical point. If you just want a vehicle that you can literally play around we put together and odd job it, then you've nothing to worry about. But if you want to take a vehicle and then restore it to a true factory finish, then you're into a different ballgame altogether. So for that reason, I would suggest always take a mechanic first. Definitely.
Now, whilst we're on the subject of Land Rovers, what is your opinion of the modern day Land Rovers? Because a lot of people think, in many ways, did less their way a little bit, because the Land Rover was the utility vehicle. It was the farmer's vehicle. It was the builder's vehicle. It was the guy who needed to go to the far-flung places, nothing else to get to's vehicle. They become a luxury vehicle. They changed direction, and it is one of the best-selling vehicles in the world, especially the Range Rover. In my opinion, all the other manufacturers who bring out these luxury four-wheel drives are still playing catch-up, because if you want a luxury four-wheel drive, you go buy yourself a Range Rover, because they've been at it far longer than anybody else. Still, they've rather, in my opinion, forgotten their roots. What's your opinion on that? Because, I mean, you are a Land Rover through and through.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, is that? Because I'm fortunate in that I drive the Range Rover SDR. It was a phenomenal car. So looking at how they've taken a 4x4 and then put the power input into it, and the comfort and the build quality, I would say that the flagship, the SVR, I know the Vogue is the flagship Land Rover.
Well, the Vogue is, everybody can describe it. The Vogue is the full-size Range Rover.
It is.
The Sport is only ever so slightly smaller, but it's, then we have the Velar and the Evoque, etc. The Sport is what you might call it's not as big, is it?
No. Well, I think, depending what kind of vehicle you want, I think for them reasons, I think the Range Rover Sport, in particular the SVR, I think they've absolutely cracked it with our car, because obviously what you've got all the luxury and the comfort of a Range Rover, but then you've got a monstrous amount of brake horsepower as well. And
you've got a performance car as well.
Fantastic performance car. The only thing I could be really critical of Range Rover or Land Rover is, I still cannot understand that modern day vehicles where they're knocking out 550 brake horsepower and they still not got carbon ceramic brakes as an option on a vehicle like that.
No, that I didn't know.
I find that incredible.
Yeah.
So, for me, the only negative to the brand, i.e. the Range Rover brand, is that, you've got a monstrous amount of output, fantastic looking car, luxury, and I think at times the braking system leaves it a bit wanting.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a big thing. If you make a car go fast, you should make it stop fast.
Correct. Exactly. You need the control, don't you?
Yeah.
And for them reasons, that is the only critical thing that I would have of Land Rover, Range Rover. That said, obviously, the traditional manual driven Defenders have finished as well now.
Yes.
The new Defender now is obviously automatic.
Yeah.
It's not available as a manual option. Obviously, JLR know their product and they know where they're aiming for.
Yeah.
Obviously, the farmer in the street, obviously, will they jump into a Defender automatic? I think in time they will. But I think at the moment, obviously they've got a lot of competition with the Ford Rangers, etc.
And the Japanese and the Koreans.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the Defender is the Defender. The Defender will always have a market because of its status, because it's a truly iconic British brand, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing with your Series was, okay, don't take this wrong way, it's going to have to appreciate a lot to come close to what you spent on it. But I mean, the Series 1 in good condition now in general is a serious investment, or shall we say an appreciating asset. I mean, people used to buy them, use them till they were absolutely buggered, and then throw them away because nobody wanted them. And it's a complete reversal now that the early Land Rovers now are worth serious money.
They are. And yeah, you're right. Obviously, unfortunately for myself, because I've taken the restoration levels to a different level, then obviously, the period of time I'd need to claw back the money that I've got in the vehicle.
Yeah.
I didn't do it for that.
No.
I did it for the love of the car. I did it for the love of...
Well, that's one of the great things about the classic car movement. There's people like yourself who, if they put their financial head on, would never do it. So you've got to be thanked and praised for people like you for doing this to these vehicles, for keeping them on the road. And in many ways, if somebody wanted to find out what a Series 1 Land Rover looked like or should be like, yours is the perfect example.
Yeah, well, obviously, Dave and his team here, I've got to say, obviously at times during the restoration, I thought, are we possibly going overboard? But I think when you see the finished article, it's merited, so they're all saying there's only one way of doing something and that's doing it right, isn't it? So So for me, obviously, yes. Would I like to have spent 25% less than what I did? Of course I would.
Because you're a businessman at all.
Ultimately, it cost what it cost.
Yeah.
The journey, it was what it was, and that's where I've ended up today,
Now, I said, I don't want to know how much it costs, but one question has to be asked. What does your wife think about it? And have you told her what it cost? There's a favourite thing in classic car restoration that, I was quite surprised it only cost me a tenner.
Yeah. I must confess, I told her 2 weeks ago the full extent of the restoration,
But you're still living at home.
and just let it all. She was gobsmacked. She's amazed that I would have obviously put that much money into a vehicle.
Yeah.
But in the same token, she does realise, obviously, that if you've got a passion for them,
Oh, yeah.
it's just one of them things. It's what you do, innit?
Yeah.
It's a simple.
You're not going to be happy till you've got it and you've got it how you want it.
No. Well, the thing is, you can't embark on a restoration and set off at the top level and then start cutting it back as the project goes on. You can't.
I have seen that done, and the end result is invariably worse than if you'd have decided on, shall we say, a medium grade restoration, because it can tell before it backed off on it.
Exactly, and that's the problem. If you start up at the highest level, then you can only maintain the highest level.
Yeah.
But then the end product, yes, it will have broke the bank. So yes, that will have potentially put you in the divorce courts.
Yeah.
But the end result is like night and day.
Yeah. Do you think she'll like it because she hasn't seen it yet?
She hasn't seen it yet. No, she hasn't seen it. She dropped me off here today. I made her turn the car around. So she won't see it. That's a let around on the drive. But yeah, I think she's looking forward to it, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think she'll be glad that I won't be sat on the computer till 2 o'clock in the morning
Trying to find out
trying to find a door sill for a right-hand drive 1957 Series 1 that I forgot. So yeah, but yeah, it's going to be it's going to be well and truly loved.
So if anybody out there wants to restore a similar vehicle or any vehicle of this type, I suppose the advice to me is be prepared to put the time and effort in, be prepared for the heartbreak, and be prepared to put your hand very deep into your pocket.
Without a doubt. Yeah, certainly, yes. If you want a world-class restoration and you want to bring it back to factory standard, then you're in for a long haul and an expensive one. So yeah, but it's worth it. It's worth the wait.
Thank you very much for joining me on the Backstreet Driver Radio Show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I look forward to next summer when it's show season. And if anybody's interested, come and have a look at Steve's Series 1 Land Rover. It is, if you put it in a showroom and said, we found this hidden away at the Land Rover factory, it's a new one. I think Paul can be forgiven for actually thinking it possibly was still a new one.
Yeah, they could. Easily.
Steve, once again, thanks so much indeed.
Cheers, man.
Rarely beaten on price, never beaten on service. Whether it's cars, bikes or commercials, Hodder Tyres are the best in the business. And when it comes to tyre expertise and advice to supplying the correct tyres for your vehicle's specific requirements, nobody comes close to David Lakin and the Hodder Tyres team. So give them a call on 01200 613 192 or visit the website at hoddertyres.co.uk.